and establish where the truth really lies in this case, which has shocked India and has got people talking nationwide.
Contradictions, questions, lapses, Delhi crime gets murkier. New CCTV video twist. Sickening dark turn to Anjali's death. Big focus on Newstrack.
It seemed like a straight case of hit and drag. Now there are many twists and turns. We'll look at those in detail. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Another CCTV video adds fresh twist to the Anjali death case. Images show a police van on the same stretch as the Baleno that dragged the 20-year-old to death. Another horror on Capital Streets. 19-year-old dragged inside a car and threatened with acid attack by a stalker in East Delhi. The accused has been arrested. Drunk flyer who urinated on a female passenger on an Air India flight is banned by the airline for 30 days. The female passenger claims the crew in business class was uncooperative. Killer potholes claim another life in Chennai. 22-year-old techie falls and gets run over by a truck. Cricketer Rishabh Pant airlifted to Mumbai's Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. He will undergo surgery for his ligament injury. Pant survived a car crash last week. There are more questions than answers in the Anjali death investigation. After her friend Nidhi came out and claimed that the 20-year-old was drunk, Anjali's family has come out with a scathing counterattack. The family says the autopsy report didn't mention the presence of alcohol in Anjali's abdomen. That Nidhi has come out only to assassinate the victim's character.
Gruesome murder, claims and counterclaims, and several contradictions in versions. Anjali's death is getting murkier day by day. The victim's family and her friend Nidhi, who fled the accident scene, have made several claims. Nidhi, in an interview to India Today, said her friend was in an inebriated state when they were hit by the car early Sunday. Anjali's family has countered this claim. They say no alcohol was found in her abdomen, according to the post-mortem report.
उसने बहुत ज़्यादा ड्रिंक कर रखी थी, बहुत ज़्यादा ड्रिंक कर रखी थी कि वो ना मतलब होश में नहीं थी अपने।
पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट में एब्डोमेन में किसी भी तरीके का अल्कोहल पदार्थ नहीं पाया गया है।
Nidhi further claimed that Anjali almost smashed into a truck before the deadly accident, while Anjali's family is calling the death a planned murder.
अंजलि के साथ जो हुआ है, that is not a simple murder. It is a sadism murder in which उसको धीरे-धीरे पेन देके मारा गया है, पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट के हिसाब से।
Facing questions on her own conduct after the incident, Nidhi said she fled the accident spot because she was scared. Anjali's family, on the other hand, alleged Nidhi wasn't with the victim during the incident. They say Nidhi's version of events don't match the CCTV recordings of what happened that night.
मैं बिल्कुल अपनी शुद्धि में नहीं थी, मैं अपने होश में ही नहीं थी कि मैं जाकर पुलिस को बताऊं। मैं सोची कहीं वो बात मेरे पे ना आ जाए। एक होता है ना कि मेरे को लगा कि क्या करूं मैं, मेरे को जो ये ठीक लगा कि मैं अपने घर पे जाऊं, अपने घर पे बैठ के शांति से सोचूं क्या करना है क्या नहीं, कुछ नहीं समझ में आया। तो 2 दिन बाद पुलिस ने पूछा तो मैंने पूछताछ में सब बता दिया।
1:35 पे निधि अपने घर पे पहुंच चुकी है। 2 बजे जो सीसीटीवी फुटेज आता है उसमें अंजलि अकेले गाड़ी ड्राइव कर रही है। तो मैं आपको फिर बताना चाहता हूं, अगर रात को 1:30 बजे मैंने अपने दोस्त को उसके घर छोड़ दिया तो ये क्या मामला है कि 1.5 घंटे के बाद या 1 घंटे के बाद वो मौके वारदात पे ये कहता है कि मैं भी उस स्कूटी में बैठी थी और जब ये सब वाकया हुआ तो मैं वहां से भाग गई।
India Today has accessed the CCTV footage of Nidhi rushing to her home from the crime spot after the accident. The claims have raised many questions. Is Anjali's friend Nidhi speaking the truth? Nidhi claims she reached her home after the accident. The time stamp on CCTV shows her walking home an hour earlier. What happened in the Oyo hotel room where Anjali and Nidhi were seen on New Year's Eve? Which event management company did Anjali work for? Where are the boys who were with Anjali and friend in the hotel? The police are yet to crack the exact sequence of events. Days after the horrific incident, the question remains, will Anjali get justice? With Shreya Chatterjee, Himanshu Mishra and Arvind Oja in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Anjali's autopsy report has revealed the full extent of the horror she endured. Her lungs had popped out, she had brush burns because she was dragged for 12 kilometers. The Delhi police today recreated the crime scene. A report will be submitted to the Home Ministry soon. Here's the latest on the investigation in this case.
Days after 20-year-old Anjali was dragged to death on the streets of Delhi by a car, more horrific details have emerged. The autopsy report reveals that Anjali's ribs were exposed from her back as skin peeled away from being dragged for nearly 12 kilometers. Her lungs had popped out from her body. The report further stated that Anjali had sustained several external injuries and her brain matter was missing.
पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट के हिसाब से अंजलि का जो ब्रेन है वो अभी भी मिसिंग है। जो उसका भेजा था, जिसको हम ब्रेन कहते हैं, वो 5 से 6 किलोमीटर की बर्बरता के बाद कहीं कंजावाला रोड पे गिर गया और ब्रेन जो है वो मिसिंग है।
The post-mortem lists shock and hemorrhage as the cause of her death. The report rules out sexual assault and presence of any alcohol in her body. Initial examination of the suspect's car suggests that Anjali was stuck to the front left wheel of the vehicle. According to the forensic report, most blood stains were found behind the front left wheel. Blood was found on other parts under the car as well.
उनका सिर अंदर गया और इधर आगे यहाँ तक सिर आ गया और इस आर्म इसके अंदर उनका पाँव फंस गया, पैर ऐसे ऊपर चला गया। ये एक्सल चल रहा है ये वाला जी, और ये एक्सल के ऊपर लिपट गया और ये गाड़ी चलती रही, उसके कपड़े यहाँ से उसके साथ लिपटते रहे।
To understand what transpired that fateful night, forensic team recreated the crime scene with Delhi top cop sliding under the car.
Right now here you see the Delhi police, obviously after receiving so much flack they can be seen ensuring that all the loose ends of the investigation is made into a watertight inspection, because all the more, remember, the family members, even after the post-mortem report is out, is refusing to accept the theory of the police.
Meanwhile, India Today has accessed CCTV footage of Anjali's friend Nidhi reaching home after fleeing from the site of the accident.
करेक्ट 2:30 बज रहे थे, हम बाहर ही बैठे थे ना, हमारे चला के फोन हाथ में था, हमने टाइम देखा जब वो आई थी। हाथ चोट उसके यहाँ पर लगी थी और हाथ पर जो फ्रैक्चर से हो जाता है ना, मुड़ पड़ा जाता है, वैसे हो गया था, और पैर पर बस। उन्हें आसपास मोहल्ले पड़ोस में बोला था बस इतना ही कि मेरा एक्सीडेंट हो गया स्कूटी से, और कुछ नहीं बोला।
Anjali's family members have now alleged that she was murdered. They have demanded the strictest punishment for all the 5 accused who are now in police custody. Bureau Report, India Today.
To understand these claims and counterclaims, you're hearing from Anjali's friend. The CCTV says she reached her home an hour before the accident. And if she did, then how is she claiming to be with Anjali when the accident happened? Is there a mistake in the timestamp of that CCTV footage? It can happen at times, but how do we know what is true? Was there alcohol in her body, as Anjali's friend Nidhi claims that she was completely and hopelessly drunk? The family says the autopsy doesn't say so. To try and make sense of some of this legally and from an investigative perspective, we're joined on this broadcast by Yashovardhan Azad, highly respected former police officer, Special Director, Intelligence Bureau. We've got Tutu Dhawan, one of India's leading auto experts. Many people baffled by how Anjali could have been caught under the chassis of this car and how she could have been dragged for 12 kilometers. Did the occupants of the car know? Did they not know? And I'm joined by two lawyers who will argue different sides of this case. To try and argue on behalf of Anjali's family, we've got Kapil Sankla, advocate at the Supreme Court, and to present a contrarian perspective on how we shouldn't take things at face value, we've got Diljit Singh Ahluwalia, leading advocate in the Supreme Court. So welcome to all our guests. I want to go to Yashovardhan Azad first. We had Nidhi, Anjali's friend, giving us an interview yesterday. It was a big exclusive. Now there are many questions about what Nidhi is claiming. First, she says Anjali is hopelessly drunk at the time of the accident. She's trying to bang into a car because for some reason she wants to kill herself. So Nidhi is trying to present the picture of somebody who was disturbed. The family says Nidhi is just doing all of this possibly at the instance of the police because the police are under fire. So they're doing this as part of some kind of character assassination to try and take the blame away from the police. They claim it is some kind of pre-planned murder when Anjali is actually being tortured by somebody who has some sadistic pleasure in mind or some sadistic pain that they want to inflict upon Nidhi. Now, as somebody who's tracking the story, I'm thoroughly confused. Who do I believe? Why? What appears to be reasonable to you? What is it that appears highly suspicious? Yashovardhan Azad.
Well, I'm really surprised about one thing, which is that Nidhi had clearly given a statement, and it was a very graphic detail which she described in the beginning, saying that she fell on one side after the impact of the accident, and Anjali fell on the other side, and her leg got stuck with the axle or the front wheel, and there she was screaming for help. It sounded credible because that's exactly the kind of thing which we have seen on the CCTV, and that's how it has played out. So the second statement which she makes and says that, 1 hour before she was at home, I don't know whether there was something wrong with that, the stamping of the timing or whatever. Now the question is, the issue here is not whether Anjali is drunk or not drunk, and then she wants to go headlong into it. That's not fair. I think that's a fairly very negative, and I didn't expect it from a friend. In fact, she was the first one who should have reported whatever she had seen, and if she was disturbed about anything. My second point is that once we are talking about the credibility of the witness, after all, two things have been established very, very clearly. The forensics have clearly established, and their report is, of course, coming, about the blood trails, about the samples, which clearly show that this is the victim sample, and it is linked with the car, and the way those 5 people ran away. And so the actual substantive part of the evidence has been established. Now the question is the motive of this witness, why she's lending so much of incredulous statements to attribute it to herself. I'm not aware of it. This will come only after investigation. But there is one point which I'd like to mention, Rahul, and that is very, very critical for the prosecution. You see, there are two parts of this horrific incident. First is the accident part, the impact which brought her under the car. So, it was accident. After that, when she was being dragged, the accused knew very well that the victim is alive, is being dragged under the car, and yet they went on for the next 30 or 40 minutes. What does that constitute? Does that constitute a culpable homicide not amounting to murder, or murder itself? So I think these are things, fresh charges will be added later. But I think the most disturbing part about this incident is this, that they continued knowing that this will kill the woman.
Tutu Dhawan, you're one of India's leading auto experts, and a lot of people, as they look at the details of this case, wonder how can anybody drive on when they know that there is a girl stuck under your car, and that too if it is unknowingly. Let's imagine that the family is correct when they say that here's someone trying to extract sadistic pain, inflict sadistic pain on this girl, and therefore is dragging them to teach that girl a lesson. That's a different matter. But if you didn't know, is it possible that you could have a body under your car for 12 kilometers and you keep dragging on without knowing? Or do you think they fully well knew and drove on despite knowing that there is a girl under their chassis?
Yes, Rahul, absolutely right. You figured it right, absolutely. They know very well when the girl fell under the car, because the left front wheel must have run over some part of her body. It could be an arm, it could be a shoulder, or whatever. So that would have created a bump, and they would have realized that something has gone under the car. Now, under the influence of liquor and, of course, the machoism that we all get into after getting intoxicated, these guys, they carried on, but they knew something has got caught under the car, but they obviously may not have known that it's the body that they are being dragging. But they knew there is something that is being dragged, and they were trying to shirk it off by keep on driving it on the road so that it might get worn off and probably take on a turn or something, it'll fall off. Unfortunately, what I presume that girl's leg got entangled inside the lower hanger, and she got dragged. With the result, her head and her torso all got scratched, and as the report also says, the brain also came out. So obviously this shows that they dragged her around 12, 13, 14, whatever kilometers they did, and they didn't stop.
Diljit Ahluwalia, you know, you're a well-known criminal lawyer. If you were in court presenting the defense of the boys, what are the kind of contradictions that are emerging in the claims made by Nidhi, in the manner in which the police has leveled charges in the FIR of culpable homicide, and accusing all the 5 boys, not just the driver, of being involved in what they think is murder? What are the kind of defense arguments that you'd be building on? Diljit.
See, Rahul, I will start with saying that it has been a very tragic incident which has taken place. A life has been lost. But equally, what is very sad is the way this case has been politicized. And the one casualty which I can already see is the fairness in the investigation. Let me just trace the few things which have come out in the media with regard to the time schedule. This incident is supposedly taken place around 2 a.m. in the morning. There was some person who saw this. Thereafter, he reported to the police. Police did not take any action. They say that at 3:41 a.m. there was a call to the PCR, and subsequently at 4 a.m. they recovered the body. However, the FIR number 2 of 2023, which had been registered by the police station, was registered after 15 and a half hours. 15 and a half hours. Number one. Number two, before we come on to making all kinds of allegations which we are making, nobody seems to have seen the FIR. The FIR is only against one boy who was driving the car, that is Deepak Khanna. He was the only guy who was named as an accused in the FIR.
That's the original FIR. Later, additional charges were added against the others who were in the car as well, because initially the police leveled the charge only against the driver. Later, others were made accused as well. Yes.
Yes. So that is where you are bolstering my case with regard to the unfairness of the investigation. There is a first investigation report wherein only 2 offences were there, 279, and it was 304A, that is death by negligent driving. Subsequently, I think 304 part 2 has been added. Now, one of the things which is important is that till the time there is some material to show that at the point of impact, these boys were aware, or the accused persons were aware, that the girl has come under the car, with full knowledge of the fact that she is under the car, they continue to drive, whereby causing a death. 304 part 2 is not made out. This is the public outcry which has been there. It's been a very tragic case. No denying the fact that it has been a very tragic case. But because of the tragedy, because of the politicizing of the event, with one government trying to blame the central government, the police has swung into action late in this case, and now they are going overboard.
Let Kapil Sankla respond to this.
Part 2 is not attracted in this case.
That the investigation is unfair. The police was slothful in its own initial action, and therefore, as a countermeasure to make up for their initial inaction, they are now levelling more harsh provisions, including culpable homicide, which may not be made out, because not just is the charge against the driver but against the other occupants. And how will you ever prove in a court of law that they knew that this girl is stuck under the chassis and yet they continue to drive on?
Well, very importantly, the entire case is based on 3 terms which are very important. One is, of course, intention, the second is knowledge, and the third is negligence. This is not a case of negligence. It is nobody's case that this was a case of negligence. The question now only is whether there was knowledge or whether there was an intention. As far as Section 304 is concerned, punishment for culpable homicide not amounting to murder, it has 2 parts. The first part has life and up to 10 years, where you have the intention of causing death, and what is important is, or of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death. So I would actually argue that 304 part 1, there was an intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death. And of course, the second part is knowledge that it is likely to cause death. But why I'm saying the first part here is applicable is because of this, that there are 3 eyewitnesses. One is, of course, the girl whose stand has been contradictory. But she's actually talking about contributory negligence, which is an argument in 304A and not really an argument in 304. So as far as Section 304 is concerned, her conduct is not important. The conduct of the accused is important. And as far as whether there was, the FIR was against 1 person or 5 people who were sitting in the car, also is of no help to the accused, for the reason that under Section 34, where there is common intention, the intention will be read into it, considering that they knew that an accident has been caused, that they were hearing the sound of the lady underneath the car and nobody stopped, and they were going round and round trying to dispose of the body which was stuck under the car. And how I'm saying this is, again, because one, the girl herself, who was the eyewitness, says that she was crying, the deceased was shouting, those people heard, they sped away. That is one. Second,
no, but the point is, we don't know if that other girl, Nidhi, was actually there or not, because there is a CCTV footage which the likes of Diljit Ahluwalia will cite in court to say that 1 hour before this incident, this girl Nidhi is back home. Here's the CCTV evidence to say it. Now she's claiming later at the behest of the police that she was actually at the Mauke Vardat, the crime scene. She wasn't there, sir. The CCTV footage says she was back home in her bed.
There are 2 other witnesses, sir. One is a local confectioner called Deepak Dhaya, and another person who also was a delivery boy who was there. And their statement is also on record, that they say they saw the body. They also saw the accused driving round and round, and they could see the body sticking out. So as far as the conduct of the accused is concerned, not only Section 34, it takes care of all the other occupants of the car. But in this case, when they knew that the body is stuck underneath and they were trying to dispose it off, they had full knowledge, please understand, and the intention of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death. In this case, clearly the imprisonment is for life or for 10 years minimum. That is one. The second, of course, are the allegations that have been made, but they are contradictory to the report that has been filed, the medical report, as far as any other untoward incident that might have might have taken place. If it is proved that this was a case of rape or any such instance, then we do know that IPC, there was an amendment in 2013 which pertains to death being caused as a culmination of such an act, where of course
Okay,
this is
Yashovardhan Azad, respond to the point that Diljit Ahluwalia makes about the police now trying to show that they're acting, trying to make up for their initial slothfulness by imposing sections which may be difficult to prove in a court of law, which can be torn apart by a defense argument because you've gone overboard in alleging things which may not be proven inside a proper courtroom.
No, I think culpable homicide not amounting to murder is the correct application in this particular case. There are two things, as somebody pointed out in the beginning, that first the conduct of the accused, that they were trying to take frequent U-turns. The intention of an accused, a natural intention would be to just run away from the spot, but they were trying to take frequent U-turns, which meant that they were trying to get rid of that body. Even and here the views of the auto experts will come in, and I hope the court calls in the auto experts who can say that even as a driver, I know when I drive a car that anything attached to my mudguard, even very simple, or something attached to the wheel, I get immediately intimation. I feel that my car is dragging. But with a body being dragged like this from the front wheel and the axle, do you think it is possible or not? It's possible? I don't think so. I think so. This part is really established. And I would again reiterate my point that despite the conduct of Nidhi, the substantive part of the evidence is established that the girl was being dragged the car, and these five gentlemen were going on and trying to release the body somehow from the car, detach it so that they could run.
Diljit Ahluwalia, respond to Kapil and to Yashovardhan Azad. A, the conduct of Nidhi is immaterial because whether Anjali was drunk or not drunk, who they were within that Oyo room is of no consequence. The fact is she was hit by a speeding Baleno, she was dragged. And you know what that CCTV footage also shows is that this Baleno is going round and round. It's taking constant U-turns. The only plausible explanation is that they're trying to get rid of what is under the car, because if they didn't know that anything was under the car, they would have simply driven on. You don't keep going round and round in that stretch unless you think there's something stuck which you're trying to get rid of.
So here is a case where the first information report has been registered after 15.5 hours. Now, whatever we are today debating goes much beyond the first information report. If you have a look at the first information report, there is a statement which is recorded there of the accused. In fact, the statement of the accused is a part of the first information report, wherein they say that yes, we met with an accident with a scooty, and after that we got scared and we ran away from there. When we went ahead, we realized that there is something stuck under the car, and when we got down, we saw that the body was down below. Now, how can the knowledge be attributed at the point of impact? That is where we are going much beyond the first information report. As time will keep going by, colored versions are going to come by, and a lot of people are going to come and say, now we are talking about 302. Here is a case which is a case of rash and negligent driving. The people were drunk. It is absolutely correct when you say that whether the victim was drunk or not is of no consequence. It is a case of negligence driving. It is a case of 304A. Absolutely not a case of 304 part 2. Another second point which I have is that on the date of the incident, even prior to the FIR having been registered, what the media was reporting was that FIR has been registered under 304 part 2. So even though when the FIR did not have 304 part 2, it is the media which was highlighting that particular thing. So that is where I am trying to say that there is no fairness in the investigation anymore. It is the media which is leading it. It is the politics which has come into the play. Every person is saying hang those 5 boys. Why hang those boys? There is a process of the law. Let the law take its course.
Yashovardhan Azad, Diljit Ahluwalia saying we're being unduly unfair to the 5 boys because of societal pressure, because it happened on New Year's, because there is anger post Nirbhaya. Therefore, they're demanding that these 5 boys being hanged, which is much more than what would be allowed in a proper court of law.
Absolutely not. In fact, I think we should thank the media that media raised, and media is the one who brought this thing before the public. This is one of the most horrible and a horrific case. And yes, you can attribute delay in the form of response by the Delhi police, but the case is a case. And the substantive part of the case will be established not only by the CCTV, also by the conduct of the accused, also by the forensics and the samples which they be taken. It's a clear-cut case of culpable homicide not amounting to murder. And I think there is no doubt about it that it's a very good case. And let me also say that, this thing about political, machinations and things like that, they don't matter at all. Because this is a straightforward, simple case. And I don't think there is any confusion about it. And I thank the media, that the media is the one which brought this in the public.
Diljit Ahluwalia, media pressure doesn't matter, the politics doesn't matter. The fact is, 5 boys in a car continued driving despite ST2 says they knew that there was a body under the car. It is physically impossible. Even when a stone gets stuck somewhere in your mudguard, you find out because the car makes noises. You cannot have a body, a full-grown woman's body under your car and not know that's possible. 227, let me ask you again. Is it at all possible that somehow, in just the way the body got stuck under that chassis, that the body was there and they didn't know? Is that at all in any way possible if you were in court and you were asked to answer the question?
Rahul, the fact is that there is no hinge or there is nothing protruding from under a car that can catch anything by the cloth or by the skin or by anything at all. It will just slide off. Yes, it can damage a lot of things. It can hurt a lot, or it can even kill. But it will not drag a body. Now, in this case, the body got dragged for all those kilometers. And as the post-mortem report also says, you already heard about what they found in the skull. So anyway, that's besides the point. But the fact is, the driver is always aware of what is happening to the car.
No, but it's not just the driver. I want to stretch it one step further, Diljit Ahluwalia, to say, of course the driver is responsible, but others in the car, when you can see that the car is not driving properly, that there is some kind of jangling sound that's coming, there is disturbance, the others in the car are also responsible for not stopping the driver. They were part and complicit in this crime, and therefore they too need to have charges pressed against them, Diljit Ahluwalia.
So, first thing, why are we forgetting that all the 5 boys who were there in the car were in a drunken state?
So,
now, why are we trying to attribute rationality in a drunken state? We know very well how drunk people behave. As a normal person who is in his senses, whatever the panelists are saying is correct. But that is not the extraordinary situation which was there at that time. They hit the scooter. They did not realize that the girl has come under the car. There would have been music also in the car. God knows what was the state inside. Just now, one of the panelists said that, what happens is that youth on a new year, high on alcohol, listening to music, okay, fine, there was an accident, let us drive on. U-turn that we are talking about, they could have got down from the car and removed the body if at all that was the case. The FIR itself records it. Why are we discounting the FIR? If we are discounting the FIR, then the start point of this investigation is absolutely incorrect.
Kapil Zankla,
the FIR says,
Diljit Ahluwalia says the U-turn means nothing. If they wanted to dispose of the body, they could have got out of the car, found a desolate spot, thrown the body on the side, and maybe there was music, maybe they were drunk. In any case, once you are drunk, you are not expected to be rational beyond a point in the eyes of law, and therefore you can get away by saying that this is negligence and not homicide.
I can't agree with Mr. Ahluwalia in this for the simple reason that it is settled law that an FIR is not an encyclopedia. It is only an intimation that a culpable, that an act which is a cognizable offense has taken place, and just a report, and there is nothing more. So whatever the FIR says, it's only an intimation and nothing beyond that. That's one. Secondly, very importantly, Mr. Ahluwalia is saying it is negligence, it is not even knowledge. But I'm sorry, here Section 304 Part 1, which is punishable for life, is made out because the Honorable Supreme Court, way back in 2012, in a judgment called Alistair Anthony versus State of Maharashtra, stated, and I quote this, a person responsible for a reckless or rash or negligent act that causes death, which he had knowledge as a reasonable man that such an act was dangerous enough to lead into some untoward thing, and death was likely to be caused, may be attributed to the knowledge of the consequence, and may be fastened with culpability of homicide not amounting to murder, punishable under Section 304 Part 1. And Part 1 is whoever commits culpable homicide not amounting to murder shall be punished with imprisonment for life or with imprisonment for either description for a term which may extend to 10 years, and shall also be liable to fine if the act by which death is caused is done with the intention of causing death, and this is what is material, or of causing such bodily injury as is likely to cause death. And this is the case here in the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, as I just said.
Okay.
So when you argue that, the FIR does not mention this, is nothing in the eyes of law at all.
So we've heard different points of view from a legal and policing perspective, from an automobile expert as well. I don't want to take sides. We'll track the story. What happened is very, very unfortunate. This girl getting dragged in this fashion, the perpetrators need to pay. What specifically is their crime? What should they be accused of? The discrepancies in this case is something that we'll track very, very closely. I want to thank our guests for joining me on the Newstrack and talk about the political war that's continuing on the streets of Delhi after this horror story. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia visited Anjali's family today. The AAP and the Congress are demanding that Anjali's friend Nidhi, who fled the accident site, must be investigated.
A young girl hit and dragged for 12 kilometers. Delhi's law and order is back in focus, and a raging political war is playing out over who is responsible for the dismal state of affairs in the national capital. Days after Anjali was mowed down and killed by 5 men in a car on New Year, Delhi Deputy CM Manish Sisodia visited the victim's family. Leading a delegation of AAP workers, Sisodia assured the family of all possible legal and financial help.
सरकार की ओर से जो 10 लाख रुपए इस पॉलिसी के तहत दिया जा सकता है, वो सीएम साहब ने मैक्सिमम की घोषणा की है। साथ साथ इनके परिवार की यहाँ मांग थी कि भाई हमारे परिवार में किसी व्यक्ति को तुरंत नौकरी पे भी रखा जाए। जल्द से जल्द उनको किसी तरह का रोजगार दिलाने की कोशिश करेंगे।
The Congress, meanwhile, has lashed out at both AAP and BJP for resorting to the usual tu-tu me-me over safety of women.
दिल्ली पुलिस का एक शर्मनाक गैर जिम्मेदाराना खेल शुरू होता है भाजपा के उस नेता को और अपनी छवि को बचाने के लिए, जो बिल्कुल निंदनीय, जिसे बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जाएगा।
The BJP, meanwhile, is fighting fire with fire, condemning the horrific incident and reiterating their faith in the Delhi police.
देखिए, मैं आपको आश्वस्त करता हूँ, देश के गृह मंत्री आदरणीय अमित शाह जी ने स्वयं संज्ञान इसका लिया है। जो गुनाहगार हैं उनको सजा मिलेगी और पुलिस लगातार छानबीन कर रही है।
जो भी इसमें दोषी है, वो जो 5 लड़के हैं वो भी, और जो पुलिस अधिकारी जिन्होंने उचित कार्रवाई ठीक समय पे नहीं की, सबके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए, सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। इसमें कोई बख्शा नहीं जाना चाहिए।
While political parties bicker, the reality is nothing has changed in Delhi. Governments come and go, power shifts from one party to another, but the crime rates in Delhi remain unchanged. Bureau Report, India Today.
After India Today revealed the dismal reality of how unsafe the capital's streets are, we sent our teams of reporters across the country to conduct a safety status check. 18 reporters in 11 cities ventured out after midnight to see if anything had changed since Anjali's brutal death in the capital. Here's our report.
दिलसुख नगर तक जाना है। वही और कुछ ड्रॉप करा? नहीं मैं ऑफिस से आ रही हूँ, अभी लेट हो गया था। नहीं कोई बात नहीं सर, अभी आएगा 2 मिनट में। नहीं कोई बात नहीं, ये इधर ही है ना तो आ जाएगा पास में। क्या भैया?
आपको जाने का है, जल्दी चले जाओ। ओला उबर बुक करके चले जाओ। सब जने गलत,
मुझे घर जाना है।
जल्दी चले जाओ। खाली सब जने गलत जगह से देख रहे, खाली सब जने गलत नजर से देख रहे खाली।
अच्छा मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। दिल्ली मतलब क्या बोल रहे हो आप? नहीं मेरा ओला तो बुक हो गया है, अभी आएगा। अभी कैब बुक करने में और दिल्ली जाने में क्या है? आप ऐसे आप सर हिला के आप क्या बात करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं? नहीं सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है।
3000, 2000, 5000 जाओ मैं।
3000, 2000, 5000 क्यों? आप जाओ, मुझे कैब आ रहा है, मैं जा रही हूँ।
आप ऐसा नहीं दिख रहे ना, मेरे तो पूछ लो।
कैसे नहीं दिख रही? लड़की नहीं दिख रही? ये दे क्या हुआ मतलब? आप जाओ भैया, आप तीसरी बार इधर आ रहे हो, क्या हुआ? देर हो गया। हाँ मनस्थलीपुरम
दे दो, मैं छोड़ देगा।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, आपको किधर जाना है? उससे और आगे है मेरा, कोई बात नहीं, ये कैब आ जाएगी। नहीं कोई बात नहीं सर, कैब है।
कैब को तो मैं कैब वाला है।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, अभी ऑलरेडी बुक किया है, वो अभी आने ही वाला है। हाँ
अलग काम है।
अलग काम मतलब समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
जाना है वाला है।
नहीं मैं घर जा रही हूँ। क्या हुआ भैया? Cost for what? What are you asking?
Where are you waiting?
I'm waiting for my cab to come so I can get home.
This area is not good, so that's why I'm asking.
Thanks. I think this is the second time you're coming here. I'm just waiting for an Ola Uber to come. Thanks.
We've been here for an hour. We've seen that so many people, they were...
Well, Bashir, the experience I had was kind of traumatizing. In fact, yes, there was one patrolling vehicle that went by, but no police official had come here and had in fact asked why I was standing here in the middle of the road. Do I need any kind of help? Several people here, public, who had tried to, I had cat calls and lewd comments that were passed on me just because I was a single person who was standing here alone on the road, a woman who was just trying to, get her way back home safely.
When we talk about the law and order, when we talk about the bandobast, when we talk about the security measures, we have seen in the other corners of the city where the checkposts were held. We have also met women police officers who were on guard, who were trying to check vehicles, who were checking drink and drive. Drives also were going on.
It's all of these places that have been in the center of the city, the heart of the city. Where we are at is almost to the outer part of the city as well, like you rightly mentioned. And given this is the situation here, this is the kind of, in fact, just a couple of, 100 meters from here, we have a police station as well. But there hadn't been any police officials who had approached me asking if I needed help.
See, while we do this reality check, we leave it to our viewers, we leave it to the people who are watching as to how the people who are in the society have to render themselves, and also the police who provides the security have to be here on the spot, especially these spots where we have seen twice a patrol moving here. They have left from this place, but they have not even tried to approach and ask why is a single woman, a woman standing here and so many people surrounded by it.
that never sleeps, the city that makes women most comfortable even at night is the city of Mumbai. But right here, we are on the Western Express Highway, and here you can see it is right now 1 a.m. in the morning, and even right now, the city that never sleeps is still facing a lot of traffic jams. I'm right now in Jogeshwari area of Mumbai, and this is one location where I found that the Western Express Highway, though it is extremely well lit, you can see that there are lights all over the flyover. But at this particular juncture, there is no street light that is working, and it is a large, huge patch of this particular area that you can see where the street lights are not working. And certainly, this large patch can actually make women feel quite insecure if they are walking from this particular area. We are right now in RA area of Mumbai. This is a green zone. This is considered a jungle area, and that's one of the reasons why the government did not really think that there should be infrastructure of street lights put up here. This is the main road of RA, and as you can see, till almost quite a distance, there are hardly any street lights that are working here. There are a few vehicles at this hour. It's approximately 1:40 and in the night, and at this hour, there are hardly any vehicles that pass by. But after almost a wait of half an hour to 40 minutes, we did see one particular police vehicle that just passed us by. In fact, they warned us that there is a leopard around here, and so we should be careful. So certainly, the police presence is there, though there are no street lights, and there could be problems for people who are traveling through the RA at this point at night. We are right now in Juhu area of Mumbai. This approximately took us about half an hour to reach from RA to Juhu, and we saw approximately 3 to 4 police vehicles, on around, making sure that there are no untoward incidences, keeping a watch on the people. Juhu in particular is visited by many tourists, especially many who come during the late night as well. To make sure that these people do not crowd the city late in the night, people go back home. The Mumbai police have positioned themselves here as well, and we saw them standing by this Juhu beach. Apart from this police force, this important aspect of the policing is the CCTV cameras. You can see this particular pole here at Juhu right behind me. This has approximately 3 to 4 cameras right over it. And these CCTV cameras, most of them work, some of them don't, but they help the police force here in Mumbai a great deal. From Juhu to Bandra Bandstand, we stood outside Shah Rukh Khan's residence, the King Khan of Bollywood, and we saw a lot of youngsters, young boys and girls standing outside his residence at 2:45 in the morning, and they're clicking pictures merrily without any fear. And that's probably because while we were traveling from Juhu to Bandra, and now even at Bandra Reclamation, we did see a lot of police presence. Apart from police presence, there is also the fact that all these roads, mostly across Mumbai, are extremely well lit. And that's one of the reasons what gives a lot of confidence to people who are traveling late in the night and then do not have to really fear any predators or someone lurking in the dark.
Coming up on the other side of a quick break, drunk flyer urinates on a female co-passenger in business class on an Air India flight from New York to Delhi. Incident triggers massive outrage. Details on the other side.